Alright, so which actors and which films are going to win in the top 8 categories at the 96th Academy Awards? Hi, it's Brian. This is the awards contender, and it's time for one last early Oscar predictions video. I thought it would be fun with the ceremony now less than 3 months away, and with Golden Globes Critics' Choice coming up here pretty shortly, it would be fun to predict this early, like who is actually going to win. So we're going to start with the 2 screenplay categories and then work our way up to Best Director and Best Picture. Here we go. So right now in December 2023, it is an exciting time because we don't have too many locks for winners, I would say, in the top 8 categories. I would say right now of the top 8 categories, there's only one that I think most of us feel pretty secure in predicting who's going to win. But pretty much everywhere else, there are at least 2 frontrunners, 2 people who could win, or 2 movies that could win. And now let's start with Best Adapted Screenplay, where there are 3 films, I think, that could win in this category. Best Adapted Screenplay is going to come down to Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Poor Things. Now, there are a few different avenues this Oscar ceremony can take. They can go all in on Oppenheimer. Give Oppenheimer picture, director, actor, supporting actor, and adapted screenplay. I could see a reality where that happens, where Oppenheimer is kind of like this year's Everything Everywhere All at Once, and we're doing the like, well, maybe Killers of the Flower Moon will win a couple things, maybe Poor Things wins a couple things in the top 8 categories, but then Oppenheimer gets pretty much everything it's eligible for. That could happen. I'm feeling pretty good about Oppenheimer's chances in at least 2 categories, maybe 3, but weirdly, in adapted screenplay, I feel like the Academy is gonna go with something else. Oppenheimer could definitely win this for Christopher Nolan, and it wouldn't be a surprise, but I'm gonna go with something a little different here. Killers of the Flower Moon could also win here. It would be Martin Scorsese's second victory, his first in the screenwriting category. But I don't know, I'm not really feeling Killers of the Flower Moon in screenplay. I feel like they're going to reward it in some other categories, not necessarily this one. It's still very much up in the air how well Poor Things is going to do at the Oscars. I mean, I have it getting nominated in at least 12 categories, and I could totally see it winning in a bunch of technical categories. But when it comes to the top 8, like that's the mystery. Another avenue I could see happening if the Academy goes all in on Poor Things would be Best Picture, Best Actress for Emma Stone, and Best Adapted Screenplay, potentially a win in Supporting Actor for like Mark Ruffalo. I don't know. I mean, it could happen. Poor Things is one of my top 3 favorite films of 2023. I think it is a masterpiece. And some of us might be underestimating how well this movie will do, not just in its number of nominations, but wins on the big nights. Poor Things has a shot in a couple huge categories. Now, I don't know if it can win Best Picture necessarily. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I do think Tony McNamara is going to win Best Adapted Screenplay for Poor Things. Again, if Oppenheimer pulls and Everything Everywhere All at Once and it just wins Screenplay 2, that might happen. I'm feeling like there's going to be lots of love for Poor Things in adapted screenplay. It is such a beautiful movie. It's bold and daring and surreal and entertaining. I feel like even if Poor Things doesn't win anything else in the top 8 categories, it can still take screenplay. So my early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Adapted Screenplay is Tony McNamara for Poor Things. Next up is Best Original Screenplay, which does have a very significant frontrunner, I would say. Now, we still don't know what the Academy is going to do with the Barbie screenplay. I know Warner Brothers is campaigning for original screenplay, but that movie is based on existing IP, so I feel like even if it gets in everywhere throughout award season in original screenplay, I still feel like the Academy might designate it adapted. If Barbie can get into original screenplay, I do think it has a chance of winning. that is the one category of the top 8 where Barbie could take the gold trophy. For Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, Greta Gerwig has been nominated a few times before. She's never won. This would be the one big way the Academy could reward Barbie, so that is a possibility. But in some ways, I feel like this is the second easiest category to predict of the top 8, because The Holdovers is probably going to win this. It's one of the great movies of the year. Everybody loves it. It's going to get into picture, actor, supporting actress, maybe director, maybe supporting actor. Like The Holdovers, I feel like is going to do very well at the Oscars. And I feel like original screenplay just isn't as competitive as adapted screenplay. Like if Killers of the Flower Moon was original, if Oppenheimer was original, then I'd say Christopher Nolan might win there. But in terms of a win, I do think the only competition here for The Holdovers will be Barbie, and I'm not even confident Barbie is going to be nominated in original. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about David Hemingson's chances. This is the man's first produced feature film screenplay, so that would be really cool. One little issue is he was not nominated for Best Screenplay at the Golden Globes, so I guess some people could argue if he can't even get a nomination at the Golden Globes, how is he going to win an Oscar? But I do feel like that's going to be an anomaly this award season. I feel like David Hemingson is going to win a lot of prizes, and he is going to win at the Academy Awards for this phenomenal piece of writing. My early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Original Screenplay is David Hemingson, The Holdovers. Next up is Best Supporting Actor. Who is going to win in this category? It's hard to predict this right now because we haven't had the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice and SAG. Things get a little bit clearer after SAG, like those 2 weeks or whatever it is before the Oscars. I mean, the only category last time I completely fumbled was Best Supporting Actress. I just didn't think they were going to give it to Jamie Lee Curtis. In Best Supporting Actor this time, I feel like you could make the case for a win with pretty much any of these guys. Like Robert De Niro is one of the best things about Killers of the Flower Moon, and it could be a really cool third win for him. He has not won since Raging Bull over 40 years ago. It's been a long time since Robert De Niro won an Academy Award, so you could make the case for him. Mark Ruffalo has been nominated 3 times before. He has never won, and he is amazing in Poor Things. Again, if the Academy really goes all in on Poor Things, like I wouldn't count out Mark Ruffalo. He could win this if there's enough momentum if he wins at SAG. And then Ryan Gosling for Barbie, that could be the place in the top 8 categories they give Barbie a win. It's really hard to win an Oscar for acting for a comedic performance, but Ryan Gosling is incredible in that movie, and he's been nominated 2 times before. He's never won, so that's a possibility too. But right now, in December, this just feels like Robert Downey Jr.'s time. Like, we'll see what happens at the first few telecast ceremonies, but I just feel like the industry has been looking for a reason to reward this guy with some trophies, and he finally gave a really excellent dramatic performance in a big Christopher Nolan movie that everybody loves. He's got that fantastic scene toward the end of the film where he goes off in that office. I do feel like that's going to be his Oscar clip probably. And he also has tons of charisma and presence all throughout the movie. He's playing a real person, and he gives one of his best performances. He's been nominated twice before. He's never won. So yeah, it just feels like Robert Downey Jr. right now. I know Charles Melton has won a couple things, but I do think the win for Charles Melton at the Oscars will just be the nomination itself. Like, I don't see May December doing very well at the Academy Awards. So I do right now feel like this is Robert Downey Jr.'s year, and I do think he's going to win. My early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Supporting Actor is Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer. Okay, Best Supporting Actress. Best Supporting Actress is very interesting right now. I would have said in September, October, that Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple was going to run away with this trophy. Like that there was nobody who could stop her. But there's been a couple setbacks for Danielle Brooks. I would say the big one so far was The Color Purple not being nominated at the Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture, Comedy, or Musical. That signified to me anyway that there might not be as much love for The Color Purple as some of us are thinking. It's been tricky because not a lot of people have seen it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna go see it soon after it comes out on Christmas Day. And I'm still hearing great things about her performance. She got in at the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice in Supporting Actress. I feel like many of us are getting Ariana DeBose West Side Story vibes in that The Color Purple might underperform at the Oscars, but it will win in Best Supporting Actress for Danielle Brooks. It will give that movie a big prize. So, I mean, it still could happen. Like if she goes on to win at Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and SAG, it's gonna be over. Danielle Brooks will win the Oscar too, but Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers is picking up steam. She also got in at Golden Globes and Critics' Choice, and she gives one of my favorite performances of the year. I walked out of The Holdovers at the Telluride Film Festival singing the praises of this Divine Joy Randolph performance. She does some lovely, devastating work in that movie. And as of this moment, she has cleaned house with the critics. She has won every single Critics' Prize to this moment for Best Supporting Actress. I think it's like 16, 17 critics groups, maybe more. She's won everything. So, I mean, that does give me some pause in being confident about Danielle Brooks sweeping the season for The Color Purple. It feels like Divine Joy Randolph could stop her. Like if she can win at least one, if not two, of the major telecast precursor ceremonies, like watch out. I do think she has a very good shot of winning at Golden Globes. She will probably win at Critics' Choice, and then in some ways it might come down to SAG. Like if Divine Joy Randolph can also take SAG, then she's probably going to win the Oscar. Some people have said Danielle Brooks is going to win this because it is a showier performance. It's a big musical performance, whereas Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers gives a more reserved, quiet performance. I mean, I'm just like, are we at this point where it has to be big and crazy to win in every acting category every time? Like, can't we just reward a more reserved performance once in a blue moon? Is it that difficult? Like, we always have to give it to the bigger, bolder performance? I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about that momentarily in Best Actress, but in Best Supporting Actress, I have been going back and forth on this for days. It is hard to predict this right now without the televised ceremonies having happened yet. My mind is telling me Danielle Brooks still is in the lead. Not that she necessarily is going to win the Oscar 100%, but that she still is out in front of Divine Joy Randolph. As I just said, I do think the Academy is going to reward The Holdovers in original screenplay, so there might be the thinking, okay, we give The Holdovers that Oscar, and then we'll give The Color Purple a win in Supporting Actress. But I just like, there's so much love and support for this Divine Joy Randolph performance in The Holdovers. It is such beautiful work that I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna say it right here and right now. My early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Supporting Actress is Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. Next is Best Actor, which I do think will go one of two ways. Bradley Cooper for Maestro or Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. Now, some people have suggested Paul Giamatti could win for The Holdovers. I don't think that could happen outside of there just being some kind of crazy shocker victory. If he could win somewhere along the way that's not Golden Globes, comedy, or musical, like, I mean, I guess, but I just can't imagine him competing with Murphy and Cooper. I do feel like this is a two-man race. And as I said at the beginning of the video, If the Academy is all in on Oppenheimer, they might give Best Actor to Cillian Murphy. It is definitely the quieter performance of the two. Cooper is giving the bigger, bolder performance with the conducting, with the old age makeup. Bradley Cooper in Maestro gives the kind of performance Academy members typically adore. And so I do think as of this moment, Cooper is in the lead for a few reasons, I would say. One, Maestro is going to do well on Oscar nominations morning. It's probably getting into picture, actor, actress, original screenplay, and at least 2 or 3 technical categories. It's probably going to win makeup and hairstyling. This would be the big category for the Academy to reward Maestro in, and Bradley Cooper has been nominated for 4 acting awards in the last decade: Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, American Sniper, and A Star is Born. And he's been nominated a total of 9 times when you factor in like screenplay and picture. He's been a producer on some films that got nominated for picture, and he's never won. He has gone 0 for 9 in the last decade. So I talk about this all the time. It's always in my thinking. If someone has not won yet, if he's been passed over again and again for years, and he gives this giant performance in a movie that people are liking, if not loving, it does kind of feel like this will be Bradley Cooper's time, especially when you take into account this will be Cillian Murphy's first Oscar nomination ever, which seems crazy. You would think he'd been nominated for something in the last 2 decades, like in supporting actor maybe, but no, this will be the first one. So I'm like, will the Academy give Best Actor to Cillian Murphy on his first Oscar nomination over Bradley Cooper, who will be on his 5th acting nomination? And he directed the movie too, so that might also play in his favor. This is the Oscars. If not in all 4 acting categories, they're going to give at least a couple kind of big performances an Oscar win. I mean, Brendan Fraser in The Whale, hello. So even though, I still think Cillian Murphy has a shot, if Oppenheimer overperforms in every way, my early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Actor is Bradley Cooper in Maestro. Alright, that takes us to Best Actress, a category I've been thinking about a lot. Like a hell of a lot. How is this category going to shake out this season? I do feel like the winner comes down to Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon and Emma Stone in Poor Things, with Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall kind of the dark horse. The dark horse candidate who could eke out an Oscar victory. If enough people watch Anatomy of a Fall, if Anatomy of a Fall does really well on Oscar nominations morning, gets into picture, director, screenplay, maybe even a shocker nomination in supporting actor, if the Academy goes all in on Anatomy of a Fall, watch out, because Sandra Hüller gives one of the best performances I've seen, not just this year, but in the last few years. She is phenomenal in that movie. So I would say Sandra Hüller has this little tiny shot. I'm definitely not predicting it right now. I wouldn't expect it, but it is a possibility. So that leaves Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. Stone versus Gladstone. I feel like I'm going to have that on a thumbnail someday. But I'm just like, who is going to win this? It's interesting in that here is a category where we have a big, bold performance, Emma Stone in Poor Things, and then a much quieter, reserved performance, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon. And there are some pros and cons to both. Lily Gladstone has won more critics' prizes the last few weeks. This would be the way to reward Killers of the Flower Moon in the top 8 categories at the Oscars. I'm not feeling very confident that movie can win in any of the other 7 top categories, so Best Actress would be the way to go. This would be the first Best Actress win at the Oscars for a Martin Scorsese movie in 49 years, going all the way back to 1975 when Ellen Burstyn won Best Actress for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Lily Gladstone is terrific in the film. She holds her own up against Leonardo DiCaprio. She would be the first Native American to ever win Best Actress. So there's a lot of history in the making here. And Emma Stone, her closest competition, has already won an Academy Award for La La Land a few years ago. So I do feel like Academy members won't necessarily want to give Stone a second Oscar this early. She's only in her mid-30s. So signs are pointing toward Lily Gladstone. Now, I would say a couple uphill battles for Gladstone would be, as I said, it is a quieter performance. She's not in a ton of the movie. She's only in, I believe, 29% of the film. And when I watched this movie in October, I did miss her a lot in the second half. Like, we didn't see her very much. So I do feel like that could pose a problem. And as I've said before on this channel, on Twitter, I do think Emma Stone gives the performance of the year in Poor Things. I think it's the best performance I've seen all of 2023. It is an incredible, fascinating turn she gives in Yorgos Lanthimos' movie. And so it would make for a fantastic Oscar victory. I still think it could happen again if the Academy goes all in on Poor Things. Maybe Killers of the Flower Moon underperforms in its number of nominations. Maybe it misses a couple key categories. So I don't know. I still think Emma Stone is going to be a significant threat in this category and could still win, even though she's already won before. I mean, think Jodie Foster, who was young when she won for both The Accused and The Silence of the Lambs, and Hilary Swank, who at a young age won Best Actress for both Boys Don't Cry and $1 Million Baby. Like, it's happened before. It has been about 7 years since Emma Stone won for La La Land. So it's not like it was 2 years ago. It's been a few years. It's been a while. And it is just an extraordinary performance in Poor Things. So they're kind of neck and neck right now. I think it is going to come down to SAG. At Golden Globes, in the 2 Best Actress categories, both Gladstone and Stone will win. I feel like Gladstone will win at Critics' Choice, but then what if Emma Stone wins at SAG? Then it's going to be interesting in those final few weeks before the Oscars. Like, it could be Emma Stone, and I am close to predicting her, but I do think at the end of this journey, Lily Gladstone is going to make it. I do think she is going to win. My early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Actress is Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon. Next is Best Director. There is not a lot to say here. I think this is going to Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. The man has never won before in screenplay, in director. He has made one masterpiece after another. So many great films, going back to Memento and Following and Insomnia. Like, I really dig pretty much everything this guy makes. And he's been nominated a few times throughout the years, and he's never won. Everybody loves Oppenheimer. It's going to do very well in Oscar nominations morning. Honestly, at this point, I don't see Christopher Nolan missing in Best Director anywhere throughout the season. I think he is going to sweep this category from the Golden Globes to DGA all the way to Oscar night. It's going to be a fantastic moment to see Christopher Nolan finally win his Academy Award. Some people have suggested Martin Scorsese could win his second Best Director Oscar. Yorgos Lanthimos could be the dark horse, a surprise victory. I mean, I wouldn't say Christopher Nolan has this 100%, but I would say it's like 99.8%. He is almost assured a win in Best Director. My early Oscar prediction for Best Director is Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. And finally, Best Picture. Which movie is going to win Best Picture? Since I saw Poor Things at the Telluride Film Festival, I have been wondering if Poor Things could beat Oppenheimer for Best Picture. There is still a long way to go until Oscar night, and Poor Things is just now coming out. People are going to be discovering this wonderful movie over the next few weeks, and if it can do really well at those first few ceremonies at Golden Globes and Critics' Choice, like in some ways, even though Killers of the Flower Moon has won Best Picture at a lot of the critics' prizes, I kind of feel like Poor Things is a close second place right now to Oppenheimer for the Best Picture Oscar. In this video, I predicted Poor Things to win Best Adapted Screenplay over Oppenheimer. Poor Things could also win Best Picture. What holds me back at this moment from predicting Poor Things is the sexual nature of the movie. I wonder if enough Academy members will push against that and give their vote to Oppenheimer. The sex scenes in Poor Things might be too much, along with some of the surreal nature of the story, some of those early scenes. So I still think it's very well possible Poor Things could win, or even Killers of the Flower Moon. We have splits in Best Director and Best Picture all the time these days. I feel like it happens every other year or every 3 years. Like, it's all the time. So just because Christopher Nolan wins Best Director for Oppenheimer, that does not mean Oppenheimer will also win Best Picture. But Oppenheimer is a masterpiece. It is an incredible feat of storytelling. What an amazing ensemble cast. What phenomenal images Nolan was able to capture in this movie. It's 3 hours long and just flies by. As I said, everybody loves this movie, and I'm getting kind of a Martin Scorsese, The Departed vibe. I remember that year when a lot of us thought, okay, they're going to give Scorsese Best Director, but then they'll give Best Picture to something else, like A Little Miss Sunshine or something, and then Best Picture ended up going to The Departed. I feel like that's going to happen this year. Even if Nolan misses in Best Adapted Screenplay, even if Poor Things wins there, I still feel like Oppenheimer is probably going to win Best Picture. So my early Oscar prediction for the winner of Best Picture is Oppenheimer. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below what you think is going to win in the top 8 categories at the 96th Academy Awards. Do you agree with my picks? Or do you think I have it all wrong? We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.